Yo yo everyone, this is Mango again, and this is another video in our hero showcase of Shadow Era. So today we're going to be playing with Zhanna. She's from the human faction and she's a priest hero class. And so what we're gonna do is just run a real simple deck here. I don't really know if it's any good or not when I'm gonna play it, but it's pretty much based off of a guy's deck that I saw in the forums. And so I said, ah, what the hell, let's give it a shot. And I'll probably be dead right off the bat here because one of the worst decks that you can probably face with this kind of a big fatty rush deck, big fatty deck is a rush deck. And I'm guessing that's exactly what my opponent has. So let me see. So again, remember, in order to play cards in this game, you have to sacrifice cards from your hand into your resource pile to be able to gain mana. In this game, mana is called resources. So you see right here, sacrifice phase, all my cards are glowing red. It's telling you which one do you want to sacrifice. And you don't have to. You can hit that skip button. But right now, I need to sacrifice before I can do anything. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this card, Bad Santa. Each player draws 3 cards, but my opponent, you see, will only be able to draw 1. So that's someone coined that phrase a long time. They called it Santa Bomb. I can't remember who did that, but that's basically when you're going first and you got that Bad Santa in your hand, and you're able to basically give your opponent no draw, and you get to draw 3 cards. So let me see. I'm going to get rid of one of these. I don't really want to use this Bad Santa again, but I have no reason to hold it and not do anything. So I'm just going to do this and draw 2 cards. And I'm going to end my turn. Okay, so usually this hero that I'm facing, it's a mage, and generally they run a really rush oriented style. So they try to get into you with many smaller, quicker, damaging allies. So the fact that he didn't have anything on turn 1 or turn 2 probably means that he just did not have a good starting hand. And so for now, I'm going to get rid of one of these, and I'm going to play this out. So this is an item, and it costs, you see the top left hand corner costs 4, and you see bottom left hand corner, that's the attack value. Bottom right hand corner, durability value. You see it has an ability there in the center. It says for 1 purple number, draw a card. That purple number represents shadow energy, and the shadow energy is actually in the bottom left hand corner of my hero. So at the start of each turn, each of your heroes gains a shadow energy. Okay, and you use that to either activate your hero special ability or to activate an ally's ability or a weapon. It depends how you want to utilize it. My hero's ability is for 3 shadow energy. I get to heal 3 damage on either an ally or myself. Okay, so obviously he is a haste oriented, so all his allies have haste. That's pretty universal among trading card games. I think they come in and they can make an action to turn their summoned. There's no, you can call it, you have I think Magic, they call it summoning sickness, things like that. So I'm going to get rid of one of these guys, and I'm just going to play this guy for now. Yeah, that works for me. I'm going to play that guy, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to activate my ability again on here to draw another card. And so this guy is an ally. When he dies, though, he actually gets placed on top of my resource pile. So I'm going to end my turn. And so you can play him out, and he's really just sort of a meat shield. You don't expect him to live and do a lot of damage. And when he does die, it's all good for you because he just ends up becoming a resource for you to utilize later on in the game. And so you see my opponent, he used a lightning strike, so that's the direct damage ability from mages, and it deals 3 damage to 2 different targets. And so you see he is kind of rushing me down a little bit. It's only turn 5, and he's just about dealt 10 damage to me because priests and mages both start off with 6 health. So what I'm going to do right now is I am just going to if I play, I'm not going to use one of these waves yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to discard. Okay, playing on my tablet. Okay, and I'm going to play this guy so you can show you the interaction. So this guy costs 7, and let's see if I pull an ally when I summon him. I do not. Because if you when you summon this card, you actually get to draw a card. And if I would have pulled into an ally, then that ally would have been summoned free of cost. So if you pull into another big fat ally, that can make a big impact. Oh, look at that. My next card was an ally. Too bad it wasn't one card sooner. Okay, so he's going to use his shadow ability on him, and his shadow or her shadow ability does 4 damage and then freezes the target for up to 2 turns. Now you see here, it would have been better for my opponent to just go straight to my face and not worry about killing that thing off right now. I mean, yeah, it's good to get rid of it, but it wasn't going to be able to do anything for 2 turns, and that's 4 damage that you could put onto my hero. Wow, look at he got all these little haste guys. Okay, so now I get to show you one of the priest's most hated abilities in the game, and that is, let's skip, tidal wave. Very simply, all allies are killed, so everything is dead. So very, very simple to understand card. You play it, and everything is gonna die. There's some cards that you have to actually kill them twice in one turn, so that wouldn't get rid of those allies. And then there are a few items and a few abilities that will actually block the death from anything. So even a tidal wave like that, it would actually prevent the death for a card. Okay, so he's got another little hasty guy. He's coming in 1 damage. So, it's not really doing much damage to me. It's just kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. See, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this weapon, I think, for now. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to play this guy. So, so this guy, big body, and all damage dealt to him is reduced by 1. So basically that ally across from him, if he attacks, will do 0 damage. And any abilities that he plays will also deal 1 less damage. So any ability damage, any physical damage, all gets dropped down by 1. So let's see what he has here. He's got 6 resources to spend, so he could, oh, he's got a fireball that does 4 damage. So that's going to bring me down to 13. Oh, he's got another fireball. Wow. Okay, see now I'm getting really low on life. Okay, so that's the end of his turn. And let me see. So for now, I should probably play this guy just so I can reduce some damage from that burn. So I'm gonna skip my turn. I'm gonna play this guy out, and I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna heal myself. And I'm gonna come in here and deal 4 damage to his hero. And so this guy right here, he reduces all ice and fire damage to my hero and to my allies by 1. So if he has any lightning damage, it won't get reduced. But if he deals any fire damage to my hero, it'll at least be reduced by 1 and save me some pain. So it won't block it won't block any damage from this guy though. I mean, if this guy still attacks me, I'm still gonna take 1 damage. And I'm low enough right now where 1 damage can't count. Oh, look, lightning. That's exactly what I didn't want to see. So I'm going to take full damage from that. But you see my knight didn't die because he has -1 reduction from the ability of Keon. Oh, look at that, rain delay. That's annoying. So that card there keeps all allies from attacking. So I'm going to skip and I'm going to play this card. And then I'm going to end my turn. So that card, Rain Delay, it keeps all allies from being able to attack until the start of your next turn. So it is a little bit of a stall card. You don't see it too much, to be honest. It's good in mages when it gets to this point in the game because you can slow down your opponent from trying to make any impact and just try to draw into what you need to finish off the game. And so you see his ally is able to actually, for 1 resource cost, he's able to shuffle a card back into his deck and draw 1 card. So that can help you dig for an option to be able to put away your opponent. So let's see what he has. Oh, he's got another lightning strike. So that'll do another 3 damage to me. And actually this game is likely over because if he has any kind of a burn spell, I'm gonna be dead. Okay, so let me see. So I'm gonna skip. Am I gonna skip? Yeah, I'm gonna skip. And I'm going to play my I'm gonna play this guy just for the hell of it. I'm gonna play Aeon here, and I'm gonna attack and hit this guy because if he hits my hero for one, next turn, even if he deals 5 damage, it'll be 4, and I'll still die. Because mages have an ability that's called Supernova, and what it does is it deals 5 damage to everything on the board. And so it would be reduced down to 4 because of this guy. Remember, reducing fire damage, but oh, see, and there it is. So I'll be down to 1, and so that means I'm going to win this game. Great. Whew, that was a close one. Okay, so Paladin of Anaxio saves my butt, and I'm going to make sure I tell this guy, let me see, good game. And let's go ahead and put in those finishing blows. One thing for me, I mean, it's just myself, but I hate if you have lethal on the board and then you go through and take all your turns. If you can kill the guy, just kill the guy, okay? Don't sit there and spend all your resources, play all your items, all your abilities, while the other person just stands there and flips you off from the other side, okay? That's just not cool, because that's what I do. Trust me, if you're doing all that to me, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so this deck, I took it from pretty close. I think I copied it pretty closely from a deck that's on the forums by ROK Hello. So ROK is a guild tag. I believe it's a Republic of Korea, and so it's a guild of Korean players, and he's one of the guys that posts a lot of decks on the forum. So if you went to the forums and checked out the strategy section, you would see ROK Hello, and he has a number of decks posted. And this one was actually the pretty close to the original one he posted. I think he modified it now and buffed it up to 60 cards because it was just something that he felt he got more consistency out of. And so let's see. So again, the hero, you see 3 shadow energy there. Target friendly hero, ally, hero or ally heals 3 damage. And so I used that a couple times on myself. Mostly I was using it to draw cards with that weapon, remember? And so this guy, Devoted Knight. So Devoted Knight, 3 cost. He's the only 3 cost in the deck for an ally. And so when he dies, you saw when he dies, he gets sent back to your resource pile. And so it's a great way to ramp your resources early in the game. If you're able to play him turn 3, then turn 4, if he dies, then you're actually already at 5 resources if you sacrificed a card. And so let me see. And next card, I just have one of these in here. When this card is summoned, you get to return the top item of your graveyard into your hand. And so in this deck, I have items. Okay, let's keep going. I have 4 of these as an item, my weapon. And you see the bottom left-hand corner of 1, that's the attack value of the card. And the bottom right-hand value of 4 is the durability value of the card. So every time this weapon hits something, deals damage or doesn't deal damage, as long as it hits something, it will lose 1 durability. And you see the special ability right there in the box. For 1 shadow energy, draw a card. So Priest has 2 options for draw that they use most often. One is called a Glass Chalice, and for 2 Shatter Energy, you get to draw 3 cards, but then you shuffle 2 of them back into your deck. But you get to see the next 3 cards, so you get to dig a little better. But this card overall has more raw draw power because for each Shadow Energy you spend, you're drawing 1 card. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to play it. Some people like the chalice better, some people like the staff. I think I'm kind of on the staff side. And the other item that one ally can bring back is this. So this is an armor, and it's usable for both warriors and priests. You see the 2 icons on the top right hand corner. It is a 7 cost, so that can be hard to get to, but when you have cards like Devoted Knight in your deck, that when they die, they ramp up your resources, it makes it easier to get to something like this. And you see on the bottom left-hand corner again, for armors, the bottom left-hand corner is the durability value. So this has 5 durability. That means if someone doesn't have any item destruction, they're going to have to hit into this armor 5 times before they break it. So that could be a real pain in the butt. And then you see on the bottom right-hand corner, you see that little shield? That's the defensive value. So all armors have different defensive values. This one has defensive value of 2. So if your opponent's ally has a 3 attack, it does 1 damage to you. Okay, simple stuff. But the ability, check out the ability. All your allies have +2 attack and +1 health. So this is a huge ally buff. And usually it's best to play it when you're either needing to make a swing to kind of take the board from your opponent, or if you're trying to make a finishing blow. There is a lot of item destruction in the game, so if you get to 7 resources and you just play it to play it, there's a good chance that your opponent is going to be able to break it. And depending on what kind of class they are, they could maybe break it for 3 cost, or maybe break it for 4 cost, maybe break it for 5 cost. But that means they probably also have something else that they can do with their turn, whereas you spent your entire turn playing this one armor and you didn't even get any value out of it. So you want to really be careful about using this armor and trying to save it for the right time. I mean, if you absolutely have to play it just because you might die if you don't, just by taking damage, then you have no choice. Okay, so I mean, it really depends on where you're at in the game. Okay, so we were showing you all that because remember this ally, that ability, when you summon this, the top item from your grave is sent back to your hand. So if your armor just got busted, maybe they just finished wearing it down, if you play this on your next turn, you bring it right back to your hand, then you can summon it the next turn all over again and watch them. Well, you can't watch them pull their hair out, but you can imagine that's what they're doing on their side. And then this guy here is another 4 cost ally, top left hand corner, 4 cost. But look at his ability. Is another simple one. When this guy dies, you get to draw 2 cards. And so his stats are pretty garbage: 2 attack and 2 health. For 4 cost, that's not good. But it's because of that ability to draw 2 cards. I mean, card draw is extremely important in any game. And so when you have an ally that you can throw out there, and it can deal damage, and with the armor out, the King's Pride armor out, this guy all of a sudden turns into a 4/3, so he's a little more formidable. But for the most part, you have him in there to draw you cards. Braxtonorian Soldier. This is like the cream of the crop of the 5 cost allies. He's just so versatile. He does everything you need. He's got decent amount of attack. He has a great health value of 6, but what he has is like kind of a weenie shield, because any allies with health 3 or less, they can't even attack him. So if your opponent has allies out and you're able to even just kind of maybe hit them with the staff, remember the weapon, and bring them down to 3 health, then they can't attack this guy. And so he can sit there and be a little difficult to remove. And he also has a haste block. You see, opposing allies lose haste. And so if I would have got this guy out earlier, all my opponent's allies were all haste, right? So every one of those allies that he played, they wouldn't have had the haste. They would have just came in and not been able to make any actions. So a haste block, a weenie shield, like I said, because 3 health or less can attack him. And so great card, very solid. Almost every human faction deck has the 2 or 3 of these guys in it. Paladin of Anaxio. This guy's the reason I won the game. Ice and fire damage to my hero and friendly allies are reduced by 1, or is reduced by 1. And so, great card. You don't see him used too often outside. Well, you really just don't see him used too often, to be honest. I guess he's kind of a tech card. Maybe if you're in a tournament and you knew your opponent was going to be playing mage, this would be a good card to play because you knew you could reduce their damage. Undead allies, there is an undead tribe in this game. Most of their attacks are ice, and so if you had something like this in play, you could be reducing all of their attack values by 1 every time they deal damage to your hero or your allies. And then there are negative effects in the game like poison, frozen, disable. If so, this guy has the ability for 2 cost. You're able to eliminate that negative effect. And there's not many abilities in the game that do that. And I'm pretty sure this is the only ally in the game, as far as I know, that has that ability to do so. Aeon. So this guy's been around for a long time, since the beginning of the game. He's gone through a lot of changes, but one thing that's pretty much stayed true about him is he is an absolute beast with a pretty awesome artwork. I gotta say, I love this. This is the original artwork. There is an alternate art form, but I love this one. And so he's got the 6 cost, and if you see, he's got human ally, and then you see, oh damn it, ah, ah, human ally, and then across from it, it says unique. And so the unique status means that anytime you play a card with a unique, you can't play another one in the same to have on the field at the same time. So any unique card, you can only have one of in play at a time. So very simple. So human ally, unique, and protector. So what protector means is that this card basically you can consider it a shield in front of all your other allies. So if I played this card out, any other allies that I have in play will not be able to be targeted by my opponent in regards to abilities or attacks. Okay, so protector is not an ability that very many have, and it's definitely not an ability you will see on another big body like this with 3 attack and 8 health. And then he does have another ability where for 3 resource cost you can buff another friendly ally by 1 health and 1 attack. Okay, so this is another 6 cost ally, and it is another unique ally. You see that little unique there again. And so this ally has haste, and all combat damage to Visca from heroes is reduced by 1. So if there are some heroes in the game that rely on buffing up weapons and dealing damage like that, so if they attacked into this card, it would be reduced to 1. Doesn't matter if the attack value on the weapon was 10, it'd be reduced to 1. Oh, yeah, and haste. So again, that just means that when you play this card, it's able to make an action right away. So it's able to attack. Eris Fate Weaver. So this is another 6 cost card, another big body with 5 attack and 6 health, and it has a special ability of for 1 shadow energy, target ability is destroyed. So that's any kind of ability. Now, anything that has ability in its name that stays on the board. Okay, so I don't think I have any of those in this deck, but let's go ahead and let's go to ability, and I'm going to hit OK. And so, oh yeah, so that's the filter. So you have a number of options to help filter through the cards. There's hundreds of cards in this game, and so it can be very easy to get lost. But let's see. Actually, let's just look at this. So this card, you see it says human ability attachment. So this is an ability, and it's an attachment that you place onto a friendly ally, and it gives that ally either +1 or +2 attack. So you likely wouldn't use this to break that, but you could spend 1 shadow energy, and you could target this and remove it from your opponent's ally. Okay, or let's say your opponent had, you see, I guess priests don't really have any good ones to attach. Oh, here we go. So this is an attachment that gives your ally 2 attack, +2 attack, +1 health, and immunity to enemy attachments. So there's a number of attachments in the game that can reduce your attack or just make you unable to attack. But if, let's just say that your opponent had this on one of his cards, I mean, you could probably kill it just by hitting it with this one because it's 5 attack. But you know, if your opponent has some kind of attachment or something on one of their cards, or an attachment on one of your cards, maybe they attached something to this guy that kept them from attacking. You can target it and destroy it with this for 1 shadow energy, and then you'd be able to use this guy all over again. So Nathanias. So I did play this card. Unfortunately, it didn't proc his ability. Now you got to see that basically you play him, he draws a card. If that card is an ally, that ally will come into play free of cost. Okay, so you have a lot of big allies, big body allies in here. So really, it'd be really nice if when I played him, maybe he drew into this guy, or or if he drew into this gal. Right? Remember, this was actually the next card after the card that I drew. So if I would have played this guy and then she would have been the card drawn, she would have came right into the field of play. And so you paid 7, and you got this guy and this woman on there for just an amazing, amazing push. Let me see. And so Keon. So this card is one of the newest cards released, and it is a legendary rarity, and it is also unique status. And so Steadfast, basically Steadfast just means the only way you can remove this ally from the battlefield is by killing it, dealing lethal damage. There are abilities to send an ally back to your opponent's hand, send an ally back to your opponent's deck. There is abilities to exile, which means it's a permanent removal from the game, but none of those deal lethal damage, so they would not be able to touch this guy. Okay, so and then opposing heroes and allies lose stealth. So there is some hiding capabilities certain heroes have or certain abilities have to hide themselves and the friendly allies. So if you play this guy down on your turn, you break that for that until the until the end of your turn. So just when your opponent thinks that they're safe to hide, you play this guy, and then maybe you can attack in and weaken his board presence by killing some of his allies, or maybe just to attack and deal the finishing blow to the hero who thought he was safe with hiding. So I got 4 retreat in here. Now basically this is 2 cost ability card. It's really just in there to be my early game. Since I don't have a lot of early game options, if my opponent has like a turn 2 ally and a turn 3 ally, if I have this turn 2 and turn 3, I might just keep bouncing those allies back to his hand. And then turn 4, I can play, my Oracle to get some draw. And then maybe turn 5, I can play one of the big allies. And so target ally is returned to its hand, owner's hand. So that means you can even use it on your own ally, okay? So like let's say something happened to this ally and it was reduced down to 0 health and I had this in my hand, I could play this onto this ally, return it back to my hand and then play it my next turn. Bad Santa. So you got to see me use this right at the beginning of the game. So it's a 2 cost card, and when you play it, each player draws 3 cards. It's really up to you when you feel the right time is to play it. For priests, which this build, which this hero is, you don't really care too much about unilateral draw or giving your opponent draw because you have one of the best control cards in the game. And I'll go right to it. I'm talking about this tidal wave. This card came about in the first set that was released, I believe. And so remember, all allies are killed. So when you have something like this where you can just completely reset the board, you don't really care too much about giving your opponent draw because even if you give them draw on your turn, they're always worried about that card and they're always worried to really make a presence on the board because once they get to 3 or 4 allies and then you play something like this to just kill them all, it really feels like a waste of time for them and a waste of resources. And usually not too many times can you come back from uh, having your board wiped from 3 or 4 at a time. So this is likely the best item destruction card in the game. And it's for 3 cost. You can destroy an item or a support ability. Oh, excuse me. So support ability, remember my last game, my opponent played a card called Rain Delay, right? And it kind of just shut everything down for a little bit. So that was a support ability, and this card I could actually break it. And there's not many options to actually break support abilities. So that's what makes this card special. And next card, Resurrection. So I got 2 of these guys. Probably don't need to. One will probably do. But what this does is all allies in your graveyard are returned to the top of your deck. Okay, and so if I get to really mid game, mid to late game, and I'm running out of cards, and my opponent is running out of cards, if he's playing a 40 card deck, then I can uh, use that and put all these allies back on top of my deck. And it'll pretty much be all the big guys because remember when this guy dies, he goes to the top of my resource pile. So he's not going to be in my graveyard unless he was discarded somehow. So basically every card that I draw into at that point would be one of these big guys. And so that really helps you make a push later in the game to close it out. Mass purification. So there are a number of allies, or there are a number of abilities in the game that are attachments and some really powerful ones. So it'd probably be good to have 2 of these in here because it's just something that most opponents are not able to recover from if you break their attachments. And so 1 is good, 2 would be better. Maybe I could just put 1 more in here. It'd be fine. Just 1 more. And then actually that's it because I already covered the staff and I already covered the King's Pride. And so this was again, I believe this was almost a card for card copy of ROK Hello. Thanks for being on the forums and trying to help us with putting decks there for new people to take a look at. Priest is not the easiest class to play, but they are getting some new cards out. So the new cards that are coming out at the end of this month, in the end of March, actually you can choose to play a mid to late game style like this, or you can instead change to a very aggressive aggro style and maybe close out games by turn 6 or 7. So you get to choose which way you want to go. Usually, trying to close it out early has a lot of risks. That if your early setup gets broken, then you're probably going to lose. But hey, you know what? Mid to late game like this, If you get too much damage dealt to you early, you're probably going to lose that way. So it's back and forth. There's no perfect way to play Shadow Era because there's great balance, and every deck that you play is going to have a bad matchup in the game somehow, some way. So that's one of the best things about this game. Okay, so for the time being, that should be it. Hope you guys learned something. New people saw something they liked that maybe they want to come in and play and check it out. And so if you do, I hope you enjoy it. I know you will enjoy the game. And so you see, I still just got to get used to this whole thing where I'm supposed to say, please like, please share, please subscribe, blah 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 blah, all that good stuff. The people that are already involved in the game, please help me with that. Me and a couple other guys are going to be working this channel, trying to make it more informative and content available for people out there who don't know what a great game they're missing to be able to come in and take a look at. Okay, so give us a hand, man. Just hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and until next time, peace.